Hello everyone, it is Alana. I apologize. I hopped on for just a brief second and then realized I had an error and had to shut it off and come back to you. So I am back now and hopefully some of you will get a chance to join me. I apologize I didn't give you guys much notice. We had to wait until the end of the school day to sort out what time I could come to do a live for you and get it done before the boys both have to run off to other things. So I will just get things all up on my end, and this is the project that I'll show you guys today. And the volume shut off. Here we go. Looks like I have a terrible shadow for you guys. I think that's you. It's you or me. One of us is causing a terrible shadow. Hi, Janet and Ramona. So I am using the...
Does this change?
We still have a shadow. You can turn it back on. It's okay. All right, so I am going to use the Here Together product line for you guys today. I'm not going to use much of the stamp set, if any, or the blends, but I have the dies and the DSP that I'm going to use for this today. I needed a card for somebody that has something going on, and so I decided I would use this product and make this fairly quick card. All right, so before I create it, I'll just showcase what is included in this product line. Some of you guys have it already, so hopefully this will give you some ideas to use. Hi, Linda. And there's so many other things that you can do with it as well, between the blends, the stamps, because again, I'm not even going to use the images from this today, so there's still a ton more that you can do. And there is also all of the blends that I won't even get to use either today. So I'll just be using a different technique to show you guys how to color that rainbow. But you can get the entire collection is $143.50. You get the stamp set, you get the dies, you get the package of DSP, and then all of the blends. Right now it's not available as a whole collection because the blends are on back order, but I checked before I came live and I believe the rest of it is available right now. Otherwise you can always wait until the rest of it is off of back order. And I think the blends are carrying over into the catalog, and otherwise this product is available until the 2nd of May. And then we have, so here's the bundle. The bundle alone is $66.50 and the DSP is $15.75. And then again, there might be one of the color tones of the blends available, but I think 4 of them are on back order. I might be slightly wrong on that, but most of them are on back order just with how popular they've been. But they'll come back, the blends, from what I understand. So that is what is in the All Together Suite collection. And then it is the Here Together bundle. And then All Together DSP is what the DSP is called. So I'm going to use a piece of the DSP to create this rainbow. And actually, before I get into that, I should show you guys this quickly. We also have a natural tone Stampin' Blends chart. I will color this in and bring it back to show you guys another time. But because there's so many of the natural tones in those blends, you can make yourself a chart. So you can go with the set of colors across and the set of colors down. And then, like, let's say here, if you did this color and mix them, you get one skin tone. If you did this color and that color, pretend that they have a skin tone in them, then you would get a different tone. So you can fill this up and then you can see all of the different skin tones that you can get. So I printed this on cardstock, and I will come back at some point and show you guys how this looks. Maybe once the blends are actually available is a good time to show you that. So once they come off of back order, then that will be a good time to come and show you guys that chart. But if you already have all of those blends, like for example Janet, I should print you off one of these, and then that way you can make yourself a blends color chart so that you know what color of skin tone you can get by mixing blends. So let me know if that makes sense. But this is a resource on our website that I can print off for you. All right, so I will show you guys how I made this card. And I'm going to show you a little bit more of the how-to today than usual. I did not pre-die cut the U matter, so I want to show you guys how to get these foam letters. Usually I do that all in advance, but I was thinking about another card I wanted to show you guys and how it's so simple that I would actually show you the full prep. So that's a different project that I'll come back with another time so that you guys can watch the full process from starting with a full sheet and cutting down a card base and a card layer. And this same technique is on that project as well. So today I was just thinking I should show you guys how I actually get the foam letters. Yeah, we should do it live, actually. That's not a bad idea, Janet. So, maybe we should do a live and fill in the chart. Good plan. All right. So I'll start with this prep here. So I have some foam adhesive sheets and I have some black cardstock. I'll move this aside for now. And then I'll show you guys what dies come with this. So you have the little Pinky Promise. Any of you who know Susie and Vasco, you might know that Lennon and Vasco have always done this Pinky Promise, and they say buddies forever. So I just love this stamp. This will not be one that leaves my collection. And then you have the die that will die cut that out. So I love that. And then we actually have a photo that I took of Susie and Vasco after we helped them get ready. I went over and did her hair for a wedding one time. And we took photos of them before they all went off to the wedding because they were all dressed up fancy and her dad was there too. So we have pictures of Susie and Vasco doing this here. So like this stamp set was completely meant to be. And then this cuts that out. But then you also get these fabulous words. So you have a here for you. It's hard to see it when it's upside down, but you can kind of see there. There's here for you. And then we have the You Matter. So I'm going to use You Matter. I'll put the Stampin' Dies aside. I don't need those for right now. And I want to create a piece of adhesive or foam adhesive backed black cardstock. So I will snip this off. I know I don't need this. I just usually leave my pieces together. This was on here. I probably had actually cut the other You Matter. That's probably what was there on this other half. But everything that I don't use, I leave there in case I need it for something. I don't cut these sheets apart until I need the piece, and then that way I conserve as much as I can. So I'm okay to cut that off now. And I'll just measure this real quick. It is 2.5 by about a little more than 4 1/4. So I'm just going to cut this at 2.5. That's the black, and I'm using black because this is black here, so that's why I chose that. And with these foam adhesive sheets, they come, I had a full one sitting here, I just tucked in my little shelf. So they come this size, and I think you get 4 sheets in a package, but I've already cut this one down. So it's foam, and then there's backing on either side. So I am going to pull this back. I don't need to pull the whole thing just yet. Same trick as usual. I usually show you guys that I only peel part of the adhesive back or the backing away first so that I can line everything up, and then I'll peel the rest back. I don't want to, if I pull the whole thing back, it's just harder to get that paper lined up on it. Whoops, I didn't even go down straight, but that's okay. I will snip that off before I run this through my stamp cut and emboss machine. Otherwise it will stick to everything when it runs through there. So that I do want to snip off there. So now whatever I cut with this will be fully dimensionaled. So then I don't have to fight with cutting little pieces like I did yesterday. I think that was yesterday. Do you guys remember that? So I was cutting little pieces and then putting them behind a word, I think it was. And so now I don't have to do that. Now I can just lay this on top of here. I want to put the die face down on the piece I want to see. I want to see the black. So this is going to go down like that. And then it will cut that out with the dimensional behind it. I'll bring in my big die cutter. Actually, I don't think it's gonna fit. Thanks, Lena. Oh, maybe it will. We'll see if I can get this to fit in your guys' view for you. And we will cut this out. So just bear with me while I grab the right sandwich. Okay, so I'll put my thick platform. So that's this one here. Sorry, it is right up to the camera. Once I move that, it won't be so bad. And then I need to put the paper down. Hopefully my pad is not too bowed for this to go through. We'll see. I've got some really, I usually keep a piece of wax paper in here just to help protect my paper. Sometimes when you run it through and you've got a cutting plate that's very textured, then you end up with, I'm going to cut this off just so that I make sure I have my die cut fully dimensional. I don't want to misjudge that. So sometimes I was saying when you have a cutting pad that has a lot of cuts in it, it will leave that impression in your dies. With this one, it's good because there's nothing really left open there. But sometimes when you have one that has a nice big opening, you end up with the impressions put on your paper. And you don't want that. All right, so here we go. Whoops. Now you guys can see, I'm going to go through one more time. And with that being so thick, it has all stuck nicely in place. I don't need to worry that that will have shifted. Don't mind my arm there. I just have to give the sandwich a little push so it catches. Okay. So hopefully you guys don't mind getting the how-to. You don't usually see me die cut anything. And that's partly why I don't have my camera backed off enough so that it doesn't take up your whole view. So now you can see here that's all nicely cut out of there. And I can just pop this. I actually won't even pull it out until I'm ready to use it because otherwise it's going to leave, it's pretty sticky. And then it'll kind of catch on everything. But you can see there, I actually didn't want those to come out. I might have to tuck those back in. You see here I left them in there so that the letters were more solid, but it's actually meant to cut out those little bits inside. Tell me what you guys think. I'm glad you like the tips, Janet. You'd need guidance on the coloring too. I think we'll have to do that. We will have to do a blends chart live or class or something. So now I'll put this aside. That's ready to use later. I'm going to just leave these little offcuts in there in case I decide to tuck them in the shapes or in the words. We'll see at the end what I decide to do with that, whether I leave it or use it. Now, with all this DSP, look at this one. So some of you guessed it right. Linda guessed the Altogether Suite. So this piece of DSP is what made me choose that image that I posted to tell you guys that I would be going live. So that came from this one here, but I'm not going to use that DSP. I will use, but look at these. There's so many fun black and white patterns, polka dot. Oh, that's not actually full polka dots. It's kind of more like oval dots. I love this one. It's a little hard on the eyes though. And then I also really like this one. I think I've colored that one. All right, so this is the one that I'm using. And you could make your rainbow, you know what, I didn't even think about making my rainbow go this way. I totally looked at this paper as though it had to go that way. But I could have made the rainbow go this way, which might have made more sense. What do you guys think? Is the rainbow heading this direction? Fine. It might be because I've made those other cards where the rainbow came this way that I felt like this was a little bit backwards. But now that it's done, I kind of feel like I need to just leave it and not have every card the same. What do you guys say? Leave it this way or flip the rainbow the other way? I feel like I need to just keep it the same as what it was. Does this look too backwards to you guys? Absolutely fine. Okay, we're going to stick with it. Sometimes I just need a little reassurance that it's fine like it is. We don't have to have it all the same. So with this piece here, I just cut it at 3 inches across, and then that way I could still use the other portion of the rainbow for something else. Oh, you're saying flip it the other way? Is that your opinion, Janet? Flip it this way and make the rainbow go like this? I wonder if the heart will be in the right position if I flip it. What do you guys think? Let me know. I'll give it a second because that will determine how the cut goes. Does it look too backwards? What do you guys think? Maybe I should flip it. Happy hump day. All right, should we flip it? I think I see a couple of flip it the other way. Let's try it. Then we'll have one way and one the other. So when I did it this version, I cut at 3 inches and just made sure, actually I went with this side here, but now I want to flip it this way. So I'm going to cut this at 3. And then that way I still have 2 portions that I can do rainbow projects with. Now hopefully this will work. Oh, you know what? I think I need to grab another piece and do it the other way so that the rainbow, so that I still get this nice arc on there. I think I'm going to switch it the other way, and then maybe I'll do another one another time. So I have another piece there. I will grab one more. And maybe that's even why I chose it that way. Who knows? Sometimes it's just the way it works out. But those will get used for something. Okay, so now in order to keep the same arc, I will just do the same thing. So now I'm going to flip this side in at 3. And then again, I can still use this for something else. But I want to show you guys how I got this here. So from this, I have 7 colors. So I chose 7 rows, if that's what you want to call those. And I am going to just make sure of which one. I started with this one here. So I'm going to actually cut this off. And then I'll be left with just the rainbow that I want to use. So I'm going to count 7 rows. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we'll just make sure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I want to cut on the outside edge of this one. Thank you for sharing. I appreciate that. I was going to say, if anyone is interested in sharing this, I will make an extra rainbow card and I will mail one to whoever wins the draw. So if you share this and then come back and comment to let me know that you shared, I'll put your names in a draw, and I am going to write myself a sticky note right now so that I remember that this is what I said that I would do the draw for. So we're going to share the You Matter card, and we will have a winner on my next live. And then I'll mail one of these cards to whoever wins. So I know that I'm going to be giving one of these away today, and then I will mail another one to one of you guys. I think it would be fun to see the difference too, Janet. I'm just going to have to get my mind wrapped around the paper and which way I need to cut it to get a similar angle facing the other direction. But maybe that'll even be the one that I send in the mail. All right, so now that I have this here, I'm actually going to bring in my pastels. I have not used these a lot, and they are called the Soft Pastels Assortment. I've used almost every color that comes in here. So these are all the colors that you get in this pack. The only 2 I didn't use are this dark green, and I think this one, I can't remember if that's Mango Melody or if this is Mango Melody. This one's actually Poppy Parade, and I've used Real Red here, but I feel like it's okay. They don't clash too much, so I went with it anyway. So I'm going to use all of these and show you guys how I got this nice soft rainbow. I wanted to be able to color it, but I didn't want to go as bold as blends, and I wanted something that was fairly quick and easy. So that was why I decided to give these a try. I think these are just like makeup applicating swabs or Q-tips. They're not really Q-tips. They're kind of flat. I had a bag of them sitting here just in my drawer that has sponges and ink applicating tools. So I just grabbed a few of these. And I will use those. I've used 1 color per side. So I'm going to start with the Poppy Parade, and I still have flat edges. So I would suggest if you guys have these and you use them, try to keep one side of them flat so that if you want to do things like this, you still can. I don't know if this was planned, but the end of these pastels happen to be the same width as each of these stripes of the rainbow, which I thought was amazing. So I'm just taking this flat tip and just filling in a row. So this is the Poppy Parade one. It is not going to look super pretty on the first pass through here. And I think I might need to put a, what's it called? A stamp mat underneath. So I'll do that. And then I'm just going to take this flat tip here and brush that in. So then you get a softer application and it helps fill in the blank spots. And then I can go over it a little bit more if there's some spots that I think need a little bit more. And then just brush that in. You can use your finger too, I think, but I wanted to not make them all a mess between the different colors because I knew I was using more than one. I didn't want to have red on my finger and then go mix it into, say, the yellow or the green. Okay, so that's the Poppy Parade. Now I do need to keep this one because there is no orange, if you hadn't noticed. So I need to do a mix of the yellow and the Poppy Parade to get this slightly orange one there. So I will do a little bit of yellow first. And then I actually mixed that in a bit. And then I came over it again with the Poppy Parade. Do any of you guys own these or still have the ones that we used to carry? We used to have that whole chalk, probably went a little bit too much with the red here, so I'll have to come over this again with the yellow. We used to have that, I think we called them Poppin' Pastels. No, that's something different. We had this huge tray of pastels. I probably still have mine actually, but obviously I wanted to use something that you guys can actually still get your hands on. So that was, here we go. That's a little more toned down. Not quite so red. And then once I get the yellow beside this, that will look a little bit more orange as opposed to yellow or red. So now the next row I want to go over with just the yellow. And then I'll have the red, orange, yellow. Do any of you still have your old chalks? I feel like some of us just sold them. I know Susie this summer when we came out with these Poppin' Pastels and I had used them in our virtual launch party. See, there we go. So now it looks a little bit like red, orange, yellow. I had used the Poppin' Pastels with the peach stamp set in our launch and Susie was saying, oh, I just sold those. So isn't that how it goes? We get rid of something and then a new version comes out or the product becomes all the rage again. So now this one is Granny Apple Green. And then I've got the green on this one here. You could use a dauber. I chose to use these just because they were handy and they had a flat edge and I needed to fit it into this 1/2 inch space here. So there we go. That green went on real nice. And now we're all done with that. Then Bermuda Bay or Coastal Cabana. And actually it tells us on the back what the colors are, I believe. I might be wrong. Oh yeah, it does. So this is Coastal Cabana. That's what that one is. And it looks like, oh, I thought we froze for a second, but there we go. So what do you guys think of that once you blend it out to a softer look? I am really happy with how nicely it fills it out, but it looks nice and soft. Then the next one here is Pacific Point. Actually, the Pacific Point and the daffodil would look nice with the Cards for Ukraine colors. So now I'll use the blue tip here. Just fill that in. If you have hairspray, an aerosol, you can actually spray it to set it. I have not tried that, but I've heard that's what works. It seemed to not be coming off, so hopefully it will stay just fine. I apologize, that sound is a little bit like nails on a chalkboard, the scraping. Hopefully that doesn't bother you guys too much. There. So now we've got that rainbow all nicely colored in, and it doesn't take too much time. I don't find anyways. Thank you. You still have the chalk tray, Linda. That's awesome. Then like you don't even need to get these ones. The one nice thing about these chalks is that it is current colors. So I know some of the other ones, they were just kind of generic shades of colors, not necessarily our colors. And with this one, it is our colors. So I'll just read them all quickly to you guys. So we have Coastal Cabana, Daffodil Delight, Gorgeous Grape, Granny Apple Green, Mango Melody, though I wish that there was an orange or even a true red in there. Mossy Meadow, Native Navy, and Poppy Parade are the colors that come in there. So maybe we'll get lucky and they'll give us more pastels again. There's lots of techniques that seem to make a resurgence, so maybe we'll get some of those things back. And I'll just keep these because I would definitely use these over and over again until they don't really work anymore. So if you have something like that, don't throw them away every time. So that's the main technique there, but you can see it's a little bit big too. So I need to be able to trim this down some so that it will end up fitting on my portion of this card here. So I have got the card base, which is a 4 1/4 by 11. It's scored at 5 1/2. I like a tent fold. I know some people like a book fold, so which does stand up nicer on a table. So you could always just switch the orientation of that. And then I have a 4 by 5 1/4 layer, which I actually need to quickly texture with the painted texture folder is what I used for that. And then I have a piece of the Altogether DSP that I'll use here. And I have knocked my little, oh, here it is. I have a little piece of silver foil that will go on there as well. So I'll just move these aside. I need to quickly texture the painted texture. I'll actually bring the Stamp Cut and Emboss back over so you guys can see what the sandwich is when you are using an embossing folder. So just have to move this out of the way again. Sorry for the clunkiness. This time I need to switch this out, and this plate will tell you here that when you're using a 3D folder, you want to have this platform, and then you just want the gray plate to go on top of that. So I've got the gray plate here, and 1 second. All right, so then the painted texture folder is 3D. I usually label these as well. And then you just want to put your paper in there. And then you can just put this on your platform, put the gray one on top, and then there we go. So that's one thing to keep in mind, is that you always want to look at the recipe here so that you know what sandwich you're making with each type of item that you're going to roll through your machine. And that goes the same for the mini machine as well. There's different sandwiches for different things. That folder unfortunately does not fit through the mini machine, so I needed to pull out the big one. All right, now there is also a technique that I want to do to this heart. So this is a little bit messy. I'm going to bring this a little bit closer so you guys can see. I originally had a die cut heart there, and it was just a little bit too bold with the softness of the pastel rainbow. So I switched this out, and it is a little bit messy. You can see my hands are kind of stained red, as is my aqua painter. So I have the Real Red Re-Inker, and I'm going to just drop some of that in here. Can you actually grab me a couple pieces of paper that I can use as a shield? And I'm going to have to shield off some space here. I did not earlier, and you can see that I have red hands. It's sprayed everywhere. So I'm going to just wet this with water. There's water in my aqua painter this time. Sometimes you guys see me pick up rubbing alcohol with that, but this time I'm going to get this all coated in red. And I wanted this to be, I could leave it like this, but I wanted it nice and bold still. So I'll show you guys what I did to make this super bold. So I'll bring this back. You can see how bold that is. This would not dry to that bold shade like that. So I have a spritzer here. It has rubbing alcohol in it. So it's probably 90% rubbing alcohol. 70 would probably be fine as well. But that is 90 likely, because that's what I've been using a lot lately with blends. So we are going to shield this, and hopefully this will work. I'm going to actually paint over this one more time. I want to have some water in there so that when I do this next step, it's got something to spread into. I don't want the re-inker to just sit in one spot. So what I did was I actually just took my re-inker and I dropped ink right onto the heart. But again, I didn't want it to stay too much in one spot. So hopefully here we're going to not get too much of a mess. But then I took my spritzer and I want that to spread around. And then I'll take my aqua painter and spread that around some more. So the rubbing alcohol, this did not work out super great. The first time it spread really nicely. But look at that. You can see how it just makes a mess everywhere. But I'm going to spray this a bit more and hope it'll tone down the big blotches. And we'll spread those all over. So it still has a bit of a watercolored look, but it's a lot more bold. And don't mind my hands. You might want to wear gloves if you try this on your own. Just got to get that color out of there. Now this is super saturated, so I actually need to look at my hands. Isn't that disgusting? It looks like a massacre here, but there isn't. Okay, so now I just want to get these all put away. I would definitely recommend gloves. You're going to have a shower after if you do what I just did. I'm not exactly sure. Get all these red stain tools out of the way so that at least it stays contained to my hands and not everything else. I have a pair of tweezers here that I want to use to just pick that up. Otherwise, I'm going to end up with more here. Whoopsie. So now I need to use a heat gun and I need to dry this. So this will take a second. It is watercolor paper, yes. Sorry, Janet. And for some reason, the heat gun doesn't want to work. It will not turn on. So one sec, sorry guys. Gotta just switch plugins. I think we moved everything over so that I could use the other outlets here. So I will just need to switch where this is plugged in, and then my heat gun will work. So now I can just use my tweezers. I usually use tweezers that are the kind that hold it for you. You don't have to pinch them to hold. I'll move that paper towel. I probably should have had more water so that those drops of ink didn't concentrate right in one spot, or if I had moved the spot around in the water before I sprayed it with the alcohol, because the alcohol made it dry really fast. So that is one of the advantages of using the rubbing alcohol when you spritz it, is that the first time I did it, it helped it to dry really quick. It kind of just evaporated on there, but that's fine. With watercolor, you kind of get a different look every time. It's never going to give you the same look twice. But you can see how it's drying there. It's lightening up as we go. I definitely wouldn't want to put this on wet. It would just soak into everything else, and it would be hard to get the adhesive to stick to it as you go. I actually meant to do one of these in advance so that you guys didn't have to wait through this, but we raced out to go get gifts for an event that I have coming up. So I decided I would do this and let you guys see the whole process, so I hope you don't mind. And you can already see it's drying a lot there. It was really floppy at first, and now it is nice. It's firmer now. It's going to take some work to get this ink out of my hands though. You can also tell that it's dry because I can pick it up with my hands and it's not all coming off on me. Okay, so I'll put that aside and quickly clean up this disaster on the desk here. Sorry that that is such a terrible mess. I just need to spray this. We've got everything sticking everywhere when I tried to do all this in a hurry. Don't mind I want to save those so that in case I decide to put them in the card, they're still good. Okay, so then with this laminated mat, you can just wipe that down and then you can move on with the rest of your project. There we go. So it cleans up nicely anyway. I might not clean up nicely, but it will. All right, now we can bring all this back in. And I have one more technique that I wanted to show you guys. So on here, see, this one blended so nicely. This is like terrible how red my hands are. I spattered the black on top of here. So that'll help a little bit with making those big blotches a little bit less noticeable. You'll still see them, but that's okay. I'm just doing more spattering than I would usually. On this one here, I didn't do nearly as much, but on here I did more because it was really bold and those big blotches there are pretty bold. So that's okay. Okay. Just wipe some of that off there. There we go. Sorry about that. Now I will assemble and prep these last couple of layers. So this one here I actually cut down to 5 1/4. It's 1 inch wide, and then I need to trim it down to 5 1/4. I know that it is 6 inches long, so I can pretty safely just cut 3/4 of an inch off of one end. So I'll just trim that here, and actually before I do that, I will just measure it against here to make sure that it is indeed, yeah. It's always good to check twice, cut once, right? Okay, now This is going to go along the edge here. We want the hearts to go right side up. We don't want them upside down. And then I have this little silver edge that is going to go here. This looks terrible. I need to just let it go, but man, that's a big mess. All right, so I have my Stampin' Seal, but first I want to attach the silver foil. Those of you who have the pastels, have you guys used them? Thank you, Sandy. Even today with this big mess going on, I appreciate you guys being here. It's always nice to have somebody to craft with. So my hearts are this direction, but because I'm right-handed and I like to hold my paper like this, right now they're upside down, but don't worry, that will switch over. There we go. And then now this is going to go along that left side. And for that, I'm okay just using my Stampin' Seal Plus. Sometimes a tape runner is just so convenient to use. Now I hope I'm not getting my head in your guys' view here. There we go. And hopefully I don't get red fingers all over this nice white card. All right, so now you can see here that this will go right up against here. And I actually can see there, I don't want to cut too much off the top. So I'm actually going to scoot this down some. And then that way I will have a little bit at the top and then a little bit at the bottom to cut off. I will just use my tape runner again. And what I'm going to do is go up this end here that is close, that's going to run along here. I'm going to just arc this along there, and then I'll arc this along the side and down here. And then I can trim off. You can see I went over a little bit. If you ever do that, just fold that back behind it, and then you don't have adhesive sticking out. So those are some tips for you guys. If ever you go over the edge, just fold it back, and then you don't have to cut it off or anything. So now I can just take this. I want to leave about 1/4 of an inch up off the top and 1/4 of an inch off the bottom. And I'm just lining that up. And then I can flip this over and trim the excess off. So we have that. Just need to bring my little cutter back in. And then I can just line this all up, trim those edges off, and then you have your tidy rainbow. There. So now we've got that. There we go. I don't need this guy just yet. So you can see here, and look at those big blobs. And then what I did with this is it's actually glued right down. I did not dimensional it. Usually I would, but because these letters are already on a foam layer, I didn't want to have this pop up because then there would be an unevenness there. So this way it's just getting glued straight down. And that just peeled right off. You don't need a lot on here. There's going to be enough layers over top. It is overlapping the side just a little bit. So I put that there. And then we can peel this out of here. I don't think I'm going to get those little inserts tucked back in there. What do you guys think? I like them in there. I like how it made the letters more solid, but I don't think it's going to work. So you just have to carefully get that out of there, which is a little tricky when it's all sticky. But I love the look, especially with these letters, of a foam letter. Now, don't throw this away. You could use this and you could put a piece of paper behind it and then the negative space is filled in. Now you do need to take, there's some of these bigger ones that you need to take out. I took out the centers and I think we are going to need to remove the, there we go, center of the bigger loops. This was way less sticky on my fingers earlier today when I did this. All right, so this one here I just held from the top, let the bottom kind of go centered, and overlap that like that. Now, it's a little bit forgiving too. If you don't give it I had to adjust it a little bit once I put it down. So if you don't give it a good press when you first place it down, then you can usually lift it off a little bit. What do you guys think of the rainbow showing through versus not showing through? I kind of prefer it with the outlines not showing. So I may have to come in and tuck those pieces back in. I won't do that right now, but you guys can comment and let me know. Do you like the solid or do you like it with these little pieces popped out? I like the solid too, Janet. So I would just have to be a little bit more careful when die cutting it and pulling it off of here that those pieces stay. So I still have most of them sitting here, so I might just peel them off and tuck them back in there. I don't think that will be too hard. I won't make you guys sit through watching me do that, but that's okay. So now I've got my card base. Again, that was 4 1/4 by 11, scored at 5 1/2. I can go ahead and dimensional this on. When you guys have seen me do the other rainbow cards where I've had the rainbow coming from this side here, I've tied the twine around first. But with this one here, I wasn't sure I wanted a bow hanging up there. So I went ahead and just tucked it onto the heart with some embellishments. But I'll add this layer down first. And I give it lots of dimensionals. I feel like it's lots of dimensionals. How many do you guys use? When you put dimensionals to attach a card front or a card layer to the base, how many do you use? Is this a lot or is this a little? Or do you use more than this? Let me know how you guys do it. Yeah, I like the solid too. That's one thing that's thrown me off a little bit with these word dies because I'm so used to a solid one that I was happy when this one came out like that. So I'll have to do that. I feel like it just reads easier when they're in there. Do you guys agree? Especially with all the pattern of the rainbow behind there. I just like the solid. So that's something I definitely will take the time to tuck those back in after. Now I've got some white twine. This is actually some old twine that I had because now it comes in a smaller roll with the multi-pack, but that's okay. I just keep using this stuff. I stocked up on it before it retired and I sure hope it comes back in this solid roll. Now I have the iridescent rhinestones from the spring catalog. So I've used the middle and the small size. I want to use up the middle from my other sheet that's going here though. So I'm going to put one there. Now I have to take a small one from here because I always use the small of everything first. And then we'll just put that there. Oh, yeah, we'll leave that there. My rainbow is a little moved over on this card. I must have cut it slightly different on this one. And then I'll just tie a little bow. There we go. And then I've got my ribbon scissors. I usually tie right off the roll whenever I can, just to help save my supplies. So I've got this little white twine bow, and I just glue dotted it straight to the heart. So if you have, I have a couple sizes of glue dots. I usually use these little tiny ones for attaching bows. If you don't have those, you can always take your glue dot, the regular mini glue dots that we carry, and just roll it on the, while it's still on the backing, and then you can use your bow, the knot of the bow, and just stick it to it, and then pick that up and place it there. That heart is really bold. That one was go big or go home. All right, so there we go. That is how this turned out. And what a video for you guys to share. One where I made such a big mess, but it's all good. So I'll make another one. I will try the paper out to see which way I need to cut it in order to get the arc coming from this way. And then I'll have to see where to place the heart. So I'll play around with that heart again, and maybe I'll make less of a mess next time. But if you guys were to switch the color of the heart, what color would you try? It might even be nice with like a Bermuda Bay or Coastal Cabana heart. I'm not sure. The nice thing about watercolor is that you can make it whatever color you want. You would do 5 or 6. You're right. I don't like it when it sags in the middle. That's why I nicely cover the middle with the dimensionals too. I'm glad you guys like it. I appreciate that you joined me on the last minute notice with just telling you guys a couple of hours ago while we worked around varying schedules here today. But yeah, let me know if you guys think you'll give this a try. Do you guys have this DSP? Even if you don't have the DSP and you had, I wonder if the die cut would work. If you had the rainbow dies, you could even just cut the colors rather than the pastels. But I really love how the pastels turned out. Yeah, Bermuda Bay. I think that would be fun. Or Coastal Cabana. I might have to try that. Or what I actually tried to do, you guys can use, I'll have to figure out a technique or a project to use this other technique with. But what you can do with the pastels is you can take your scissors and just scrape a little bit off. So that's what I started off trying to do with this heart. It was wet. So if you have water on it and then you scrape the bits of pastel into it, it will kind of disperse and make a really cool technique. But it was my first time playing with it and I hadn't gone and looked up how to do it. And it didn't spread the way that I wanted it to. And I still wanted a really bold red look. So I ended up scrapping that. But I'll figure out how that technique works. And then I'll have to come back and show you guys that other way of using your pastels. But I think if I did this in Bermuda and then put those over top, or even just the Bermuda and the Pacific Point, that it would look really cool with little flakes of that have kind of, it's almost like Brusho. If you guys remember Brusho, it functions somewhat like that. So you wet your surface and then you let the little flakes spread into the medium, whether it's water or rubbing alcohol. I think it's water, but I'll have to play around with it and come back to show you guys. Have any of you tried chalk pastels in that way, or the soft pastels? Let me know. I'd love to know if you guys have given it a try. All right, so before we go, again, if you guys are interested in placing an order online, if you use this host code, you get a free gift with the $65 purchase and then the free upcoming class in April with a $100 purchase. And I will yet come back with more of the sale bundles, but today, because I needed this card, I thought I would come back and show you guys how to do those pastels. I hope that you guys learned something. Try it on the opposite. I think that's a good idea with Bermuda or the pastels. Which do you mean, Janet? The pastel flake technique or the Bermuda watercolor heart? I feel like there's so many things. Every time we get playing here together, there's something new I want to try. So it's that tale of if you give Alana a cookie, or if you give a mouse a cookie, if you give Alana some stamping supplies, what will happen next? That might be what we have to call this video, the if you give Alana some stamping supplies. Do you guys find that as well? You try one thing and it just kind of morphs into something else. All right, so if you have any questions, or if you need any of these supplies, or you have them and you want that chart, let me know. I can always send the link along as well for the blends chart that we were talking about at the beginning. All right, thank you guys so much for joining me. I hope you'll give this a try. If you have the old pastels, I hope you'll dig them out and play with them, see what kind of images you have at home that you could use them with, and come back and post it in the comments so that I can see what you guys did with it. All right, thanks everyone. See you next time. Good night.